राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना 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 यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandan Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandan Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandan Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jai Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Jai Shri Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahams Paravajagacharya Ashtotarshata Shri Srimad Srila Abhay Charanarinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Thakur Haridasa Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा देवी की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी रानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, इस्कॉन पीवीटी संस्थापक आचार्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गौ प्रेमानंदे श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय, श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय, श्री श्री ललिता विशाखा सहित राधा श्याम सुंदर की जय, गौ प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Pitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Pitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Madgavirapi Gopala Swikuryat Kripaya Yadi Tadaiva Sampayah Pitva Rishayus Tat Priyajana. Indian volume. You hear it feeding back now. So. Okay. Today is, of course, the divine Avirbhav Titi Mahotsav, the appearance day of our Paramaguru, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. So, I thought that today we can hear, and I will try to say some comments on each of the four pranam shlokas that glorify Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We've received these mantras from Srila Prabhupada, and it is worthy of meditation. Please, all of you, kindly give me your blessings that I can say something worthwhile. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Namine Shrivarshabhanavi Devi Dayataya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Tvantaharine. So first thing, of course, as is very common, we offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of our spiritual masters, all of our spiritual masters. Vande Gurun, plural, as we hear from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's not just one spiritual master, he's representing a whole chain. We say, Guru Sadhu Shastra Bhakva Chite Te Korya Aikya. That one has to become absorbed in these three. Because Guru without Shastra is not Guru. And Sadhu without Shastra is not Guru. Shastra without Sadhu and Guru, how could we access? So we absolutely require the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And Om Vishnupad. Om Vishnupad. This is something we hear, but maybe we don't think about it so much. This is an honorific title. It's actually enjoined in Hari Bhakti Vilas, Book 1, texts 94 through 100 and something, which we can review. There, Sanatana Goswami quotes from Narad Pancharatra. This is another one of our authorities. Shruti, Spriti. What is that? Shruti? Puranadi, yes. Pancharatra vidhim vina. Aikantiki hirar bhaktir utpataiva kalpate. This is something we have to be careful of here in Vrindavan Dham. It's very prevalent. People have so-called ananya bhakti. Ananya bhakti means exclusive devotion, but the problem is that it's not exclusive. And the reason it's not exclusive is because it's not conducted under the guidance of proper spiritual authorities. Who are those authorities? We've already described on the basis of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, I think, or maybe it's chapter 20, text 350, or thereabouts. Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport that actually the Shastra is the center of all. Shastra yonitvat, Vyasadeva tells us. But we have no access to Shastra. Therefore, Tardako Pratishta Shrutuyo Vibhinna Nasa Vrishir Yasyamatam Na Bhinnam. We have to accept the path which is shown to us by the Mahajanas, the great devotees who follow the Guru Parampara. They follow Shastra according to the instructions of their own spiritual master. You cannot disagree with your Guru. We'll read about that in a moment. But this is the line. So, yatha tatha yatra tatra nagrahinat chakevalam bhaktyana guror nama graniyat chayathatmavan pranavaha. Excuse me. Shri stato nama Vishnu shabdad anantaram pada shabda sametam chanata murhanjalyutaha. A disciple should not utter the name of his spiritual master in a negligent manner. He should fold his hands and with self-controlled heart utter the sacred name of his spiritual master, beginning with Om and Vishnupada. This is the idea. Because he represents the lotus feet of the Lord to us, lotus feet of Vishnu. I'll just read further because it's interesting to hear. A disciple should never, due to illusion, give orders to his spiritual master, nor transgress his orders. He should not eat anything without first offering it to his spiritual master. These rules must be followed by a disciple after he takes initiation. A disciple should greet his spiritual master whenever he meets him by chance. He should not sit on an asan or lie down in front of his spiritual master. All favorite food and drink should first be offered to one's spiritual master. The disciple can accept his spiritual master's remnants. But a disciple should never act in a way that displeases his spiritual master, even if he is chastised by him or put into inconvenience. He should not disregard the words of his spiritual master, nor act against his wishes. A disciple should work for the pleasure of his spiritual master with his life and his wealth. If a disciple serves his spiritual master with his body, mind, and speech, he surely attains the ultimate goal of life. So these are some interesting instructions. It's always good to review these kinds of things. Actually, at least one disciple of Srimad-Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, he took this very seriously because he was a brahmachari. It's especially enjoined on brahmacharis. You can't eat without taking permission from your spiritual master, and he wouldn't do that. Unless his spiritual master told him to eat, he would fast. And the same thing actually holds true for the grihastha ashram. That just the difference between the grihamedhi and the grihastha. The grihastha upholds dharma within that ashram. But the grihastha he should not try to conceive children without the permission of his spiritual master, in exactly the same way that a brahmachari should not eat without the permission of his spiritual master. Anyway, just a few things we can consider that are from Hari Bhakti Vilas. This is Om Vishnupad. Now, the next thing he states is Krishna Preshta. Why is he called Krishna Preshta? We're not so much concerned about Vishnu in our line of Vaishnava Parampara. We're more concerned about Krishna. And this is represented by Srila Prabhupada in his purport to Bhagavad-gita, chapter 18, text number 65. Anybody can recite that verse for me? 1865. Very famous verse. It's one of those that appears twice. Yes. The four things Krishna says: fix your mind on me, be a devotee, bow down, worship me. So there Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna, face to face. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna. Now, Srila Prabhupada is another dear friend of Krishna, is it not? Therefore, we also worship him, Krishna Preshta. So, Prabhupada continues here. These words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of the Godhead, Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayana, Rama, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's. So this is why we say Krishna Preshta. We're particularly concerned with Krishna, and we want to worship those who are dear to Krishna. And the spirit among those who are dear to Krishna, Preshta, it's actually a superlative. Describes, most dear to Krishna. And Bhutale. Bhutale means such people do indeed walk upon this earth. Whenever I see my godbrother Vaisheshika, some of you also have the same experience, he makes it a point to mention, thank you for walking this earth. He's such a person, actually. I have never ever heard him criticize anyone, even though there are plenty of things to criticize in ISKCON, and plenty of dubious people, has to be admitted, but he never criticizes anyone. Something we can appreciate about this great soul. So Bhutale, such personalities do indeed walk the face of the earth. Krishna arranges that. How does he arrange that? Through, by the order of the transcendental system, as Prabhupada writes in his Bhagavad-gita. Krishna arranges. Cheaters always try to deny this in the interest of their own self-aggrandizement, and they say things such as, well, there's nobody qualified right now that I can accept as my spiritual master. Some of them even concoct a new method of Guru Parampara in which everyone takes posthumous initiation from Srila Prabhupada, or for that matter, why not go to anybody else, such as Rupa Goswami? If it's posthumous, what's the problem? You all know what I'm talking about, but this arrangement by Krishna is the order of the transcendental system, and Krishna arranges a bona fide guru in commensurate response to the sincerity and the strong desire of a prospective disciple. If we are hungry, Ramananda Rai writes, Yavat Kshirasti Nanopachara Krita Pujanam Artha Bandho Prem Naiva Bhakta Hridayam Sukhad Vidyutam Syat Yavat Kshur Asti Jathare Jarha Pipasa Tavat Sukhaya Bhavatu Nanopakshipeye. If you are hungry, you will get what you need to eat. This is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we always, and Krishna, throughout Bhagavad Gita, he confirms the same thing. Yayatha mam prapadyante, and tesham satati yuktanam, and ananyas chintayanto mam. These verses all confirm that if you are really sincere, you will get what you need. Just be sincere. Some devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, how do I be sincere? By being sincere. Get serious and do it. That was the gist of the answer. So, here we have this idea here, putale. There are such persons. Now, Srimate, Srimat. What does Srimat mean? Anybody? Srimat. Matup pratyaya. It means full of Shri. Now, what does it mean to be full of Shri? To be blessed by her. Shri means the goddess of fortune. Actually, not just fortune. We say fortune, but fortune in the most general, widest sense. Anything auspicious, anything good, desirable, appreciable, this is Shri. And it all comes from one person, and that is Lakshmi Devi. And this Lakshmi Devi herself is but the expansion of Srimati Radharani. So all good fortune extends only from the principle of surrendering in pure loving devotional service into the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as exhibited by the natural, spontaneous, eternal love of Srimati Radharani, his foremost devotee. She's also Krishna Preshta. So, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati yakinchana sarvari gunas tatra samastite suraha. All the demigods are blessed by Shri because they are surrendered to the Lord. Even if they're not 100% surrendered, but they are surrendered. And to the extent that we surrender, we also become Srimat, or Shrivan, you can say, full of Shri. The same thing, Matup, Vatup, two versions of the same suffix in Sanskrit. So Lakshmi Devi is Srimati Radharani. She is to Srimati Radharani what Lord Vishnu is to Lord Krishna. So just as we're more concerned about Krishna than Vishnu in the Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, so similarly we're actually more concerned about Radharani than we are about Lakshmi Devi. And that's why Srimati Radharani, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains in his commentary on Krishna Karnamrita. That's why Srimati Radharani is called Jaya Shri. Jaya Shri. What does it mean? Jaya, you're conquering, right? So who does she conquer? She conquers even Shri. We know this. If you've gone across the river, just a stone's throw from here, straight across that temple in Vrindavan where Lakshmi Devi is still sitting in meditation trying to get into the Ras Leela, but she cannot do it without Radharani's permission. So she was told by her spiritual masters. All right, so Srimate and Bhakti Siddhanta. Bhakti Siddhanta, the perfection of bhakti, the perfection of pure devotional service. Enough said. Saraswati. Just like we say to Srila Prabhupada, Namaste Saraswati Deve, the servant. So Saraswati indicates the knowledge aspect of this same Lakshmi that we've been discussing. The Lord has two Shaktis, Lakshmi and Saraswati. Anyone here worshipping Jagannath? You raise your hand if you worship Jagannath. Yes. So you know, Jagannath, there are 7 deities on the altar there, right? Balaram, Subhadra, Jagannath, Sudarshana, Madan Mohan, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. And this is why we hear that the Lord is called Ramavani Rama. He is the enjoyer of Rama, who is Lakshmi. He is the enjoyer of Vani, who is Saraswati. So he enjoys both goddesses. But here, this is actually a traditional title that is offered to sannyasis in deference to their deep scholarship and realization. Of course, no one can possibly surpass Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada in this respect. You just have only to open the Brahma Samhita, which Srila Prabhupada suggested in his purport, and you'll immediately experience why he's called Saraswati. Many other sannyasis are also called Saraswati. But iti namine, in this way he's named. He deserves the name. All right. Second verse. Shri Varshabhana Vide Vidayitaya Kripabhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Varshabhana Vide Vidayita Das. That was his initiated name. Who is favored by Srimati Radharani and who's the ocean of transcendental mercy and the deliverer of the science of Krishna. So, Shivarshabhanavi Devi Dayita. This means that he is the object of the mercy of Srimati Radharani, or rather, he is the object of the person who has received Srimati Radharani's mercy. That person's mercy he is the object of. So, in our line especially, the more one is the servant, the greater is the blessing. And who said this? To be the servant of the servant of the servant of the... Adi, Adi, Adi. Who said this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even in other Vaishnava Sampradayas, the same idea is there, particularly in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. Kulashekar Alwar. He also said, Tvad Bhritya Bhritya Paricharaka Bhritya Bhritya Bhrityasya Bhritya. Iti Mam Smara Lokanath. My dear Lokanath, please consider me as the servant of 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 your servant. 7 times removed. This is our aspiration, to have this humility more than a blade of grass. We don't have it. We really don't have it. That is a fact. We do not have this humility. If we had this humility, what else would we have, according to Sanatana Goswami? We would have prema, because he says there's no difference between absolute humility and Krishna prema. They are one and the same thing. Something to think about. So, Kripabdhi, he is called the ocean of mercy here, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Where does all that mercy come from? That mercy, all these above things we've described actually imply that it's coming from Srimati Radharani. As Prabhupada used to quote this Bengali proverb, God has 10 hands. If he gives you, whatever he can give you, how much can you take with only 2 hands? If he's taking it away from you with 10 hands, how much can you? You're helpless. We all depend on mercy. And when one is so blessed by someone like Srimati Radharani, who conquers even Lakshmi, everybody in this world is running after the opulences of Bhagavan. Everybody wants Shri, nobody wants Shripati. Prabhu ta chahiye, lekin Prabhu nahi chahiye. This is our disease. We want God, but we don't want... we want God's energy. We don't want God. This is the point. People, it's amazing. People even go and pray to Bhagavan in the temple. Please bless me with the association of your wife. Hey. So, Kripabdhi, someone who is really blessed gets the mercy of Srimati Radharani, and that mercy takes the form of pure devotional service. This is wealth greater than a touchstone. Greater than a touchstone. We know this from Sanatana Goswami as well. So, when one is so blessed, or in other words, when one becomes so much Srimad, then what do you do with all that mercy? One has to give out such mercy to others. And therefore he's called Kripabdhi. As Bhaktivedanta Thakur sang, O he Vaishnava Thakur, Doyar Shagara, Edashe Karuna Kori. Same idea. Ocean of mercy, please be merciful unto me. The implication is that if you're in the ocean of mercy, you're merciful to everyone, why leave me out? Like Vidyapati also sang. He's saying, all over the universe, you're glorified as Jagannath. Side of that Jagat, I'm also part of that Jagat. This is his mood. So we should pray like this today. How should now, in addition to praying at the lotus feet of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, how should we act? Because, words are cheap, but we have to do something actually to get that mercy. So what should we do? What should we do practically? Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine. This is the example that we have of Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. He dedicated his life to the service of the mission of Bhaktivedanta Thakur. That is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. By distributing the science of pure devotional service as taught by Srila Rupa Goswami. The lion's share of any such effort is always going to take the form of faithfully repeating the Sambandha Gyan, or the true knowledge of the relation between the Lord and his energies, that we have received from our spiritual masters. That is to say, the teachings of Bhagavad-gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam, and any books that elaborate on these. One can only do this by repeatedly hearing submissively from the lotus feet of this Lord and his representatives, such as Srila Prabhupada. That's why we have to read every day. And that's why we have to meditate on whether we've really achieved that ideal of Guru Mukha Padma Bhakko Chite Te Koriya Aikya Aro Na Kori Homani Asha. This is the part we always have trouble with. We're always distracted by anything and everything else, isn't it? Yes, it is. If we're honest, we have to admit. So, hearing submissively is very much necessary. With possessing the Sambandha Gyan gained in this way, Bhaktivedanta Thakur says in Harinam Chintamani, one cannot even chant without offenses, without having cultivated this Sambandha Gyan. It's not possible to chant offenseless Harinam unless we actually have proper Sambandha Gyan. And wherever such an irresponsible person preaches, he's only going to definitely deviate his sampradaya. That's a strong statement, isn't it? Shall I repeat it? If a person who has not heard adequately from the spiritual master attempts to preach Krishna consciousness, he's definitely going to deviate the trajectory of his entire sampradaya. Because a person who hears from you only knows what you teach him. And if you're not teaching him the same thing, or, as another popular trend nowadays, if you're not repeating all the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, including the uncomfortable ones, then you are deviating the trajectory of the entire Guru Parampara. Is that something you want in your devotional portfolio? Give it some thought on this day. So, it's a massive responsibility. It depends on the example, precepts, and ultimately mercy of Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and other spiritual masters in our line. Now I'm going to quote from Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava Volume 2, Part 3, Chapter 12. on this point, which is very apropos. Out of actual compassion and concern for his words, Srila Saraswati Thakur realistically concentrated his teachings on repeated and detailed instruction in Sambandha Gyan. He warned that those immature in bhakti, an exaggerated and imbalanced inclination for hearing the pastimes of Radha Krishna while insufficiently focusing on Sambandha Gyan, which means basically, I'm not my body, or what is it that prevents me from hearing submissively from Srila Prabhupada every day? He focused on Sambandha Gyan, and he said that those who are cultivating an exaggerated, imbalanced inclination to hear intimate pastimes without focusing on Sambandha Gyan would simply result in them becoming what? Yes, sahajiyas. Sahajiya Prabhupada usually translates casual mentality. It's not such a big deal. It is a big deal. We need to adjust to that. And he said that those eager to see and hear Krishna's form and pastimes, yet not learn Sambandha Gyan, are ipso facto prakrita sahajiyas. He considered that by hearing about the apparently profligate pastimes in the immaculate principles underlying them, of Radha Krishna, without systematic education in the immaculate principles underlying them, nor practical guidance in becoming free from material desires, nor even a basic grounding in virtuous behavior, such persons would, instead of becoming Paramahamsas, become depraved. It's such a fact. We don't even know about human behavior, dharma, what to speak of Vaishnava behavior. And only Sambandha Gyan will help us if we hear from the proper source and if we hear submissively without challenging or changing. So he also cautioned, quote, lack of knowledge of Sambandha Gyan, in other words, not knowing our own identity, will much impede our quest for the ultimate goal of life. It will make a show of bhajan by dressing as devotees and chanting countless rounds, but not reading Lord Sri Chaitanya's Sanatan Shiksha. The upshot will be simply bile secretion and nama bharata. By thus emphasizing Sambandha Gyan, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati aimed to inculcate awareness of acceptance of the jiva's constitutional position as an unconditional servant of Krishna and his servants. We've already hinted at that, among whom the principal were the Vrija Gopis. Now, we don't have time to continue all this quote, but you can look it up yourself. The point is that anarja vritti, the prerequisite for higher bhajan, depends on at least theoretical appreciation of Shastriya truths, because Siddhanta alasajan anartha to charina. A person who is lazy in properly understanding Siddhanta does not give up anarthas. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, therefore he's called Prabhu, right? Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha. Prabhave Namaha means obeisance to Prabhu. Somebody who practices these things, that person is deserving of the title Prabhu. All right. Madhuryo Jwala Premacha Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute. There are only two words in this verse, actually, two nouns at least, proper nouns. One is Madhuryo Jwala Prematya Shri Rupananga Bhaktida. This is one word. Sanskrit is a little bit like German. German, you can have big, long compounds like this. And in Sanskrit, you can do it as well. It means one who gives pure devotional service that follows in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, characterized by ecstatic love that is full of the sweetness that is Ujjvala Rasa. What is Ujjvala Rasa? We have a whole book about it by Rupa Goswami. Sequel to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is called Ujjvala Nilamani, the blazing sapphire. All about the great jewel of Ujjvala Rasa, really. exclusively about Madhurya Bhakti. This Madhurya is the specific contribution of Lord Chaitanya. Even in this degraded age of Kali Yuga, he's giving such a valuable thing. Anarpita chirim chirat karanyavatirna kalau ityadi. You all know this verse. So, bona fide spiritual masters in this lineage, they pass down the same thing. And therefore we pray to them. Prasida radha pranaya prachara. Please give me your mercy, O you who are preaching that same love that Srimati Radharani had for Krishna. Okay? So, now the second word in this verse, Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigraha, indicates Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, because in his era, he agreed to act as a conduit for transmitting Lord Chaitanya's compassion to the world at large. He agreed to do it, just like Srila Prabhupada agreed to. He was given the instruction, all the disciples were given the same instruction, but Srila Prabhupada agreed to follow that instruction. Every generation, somebody has to agree to actually do this. And that's what he did. That's why he's considered to be the very vigraha of the power, or the empowerment, even we can say, of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigraha. And we offer our obeisances unto his lotus feet. Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate. Now the last verse here. Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are the personified teaching of Lord Chaitanya. You are the deliverer of the fallen souls. You do not tolerate any statement which is against the teachings of the devotional service enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami. Same idea is again repeated here. And Gauravani Sri Murti, just as he is the embodiment of the Lord's compassion, what form does that compassion take? 60 volumes full of Bhaktivedanta purports. That is the form of his mercy. And Srila Prabhupada only received this from Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. So, Sri Gauravani Sri Murti, he veritably embodied Lord Chaitanya's teachings. He was the living, breathing, walking, and speaking form of Lord Chaitanya's whole Siddhanta. Therefore, he's called Bhakti Siddhanta. He considered that speaking Harikatha was his primary service and mission in life while in this world. And yet, abandoning popular stereotypes about humility, he actually did this in such a novel, striking, and thought-provoking manner. That's another thing. Dinatari. Dinatari means somebody who is the deliverer of the fallen. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father, faced so many challenges, normally from three classes of fallen persons. Who are they? Highly prejudiced British rulers of that time. Foolish Indians who followed them mindlessly, like parrots. They still know this. That's why you're considered to be working on shore if you're working according to someone else's time zone. Think about it. So, the British rulers, the fallen Indians, Western educated Indians who were sold out to them, and uneducated masses who were misled by different groups of cheaters such as the caste Goswamis and the Sahajiyas. Simple people don't have the intelligence to discriminate all these things. They always get misled. So this was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's focus. Furthering his father's missionary groundwork, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur was strictly orthodox and dignified, and yet also radically innovative and brazen enough to ignore traditional taboos or empty conventions. For example, he rode a limousine into Radha Kund to deliver his lectures. In 100 years ago, it was, people probably didn't even know what a car was in Radhakund. And he comes in like this, dressed in all... And what did he speak on? Did he speak on Vilapa Kusumanjali? I don't think so. He spoke on Ishopanishad, my friends. This is we've already described. Okay. So, always intense. He was called Acharya Keshari. What does that mean? A lion among gurus. Just like Acharya Kesari is the Vedanta Kesari, Shankaracharya, they call him, lion of Vedanta. So he's called Acharya Kesari, lion guru, because of his confrontational and aggressive approach to preaching the pure ideals of Lord Chaitanya, as well as his extreme intolerance of impersonalism and a number of Western-influenced so-called Hindu missions that adopted the skewed logic of Mayavad, that is to say, neo-Advaitins. I can name them, but you all know. Murgi mission and so many others. He also focused largely on the Sahajas and the castists. And because in the 19th century, these were the primary obstacles to understanding the real teachings of Lord Chaitanya. These had become dominant. He continuously rectified prevalent misconceptions about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu among these groups. And this won great respect for Gaudiya Vaishnavism and fomented a renaissance of culture and tradition, especially among the educated. And it ultimately manifested as the Gaudiya Mutt, and much later on, ISKCON. So, therefore, Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Tvanta Harini suggests maybe the most prominent or immediately recognizable characteristic of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was antagonistic towards anything and anyone, any idea and any person whose idea smacked of hypocrisy in any form, especially in the name of Vaishnavism. He was very harsh in these ways. He's known for that. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And his father was very liberal, very, very liberal. He's almost exactly the opposite, because he saw that, it wasn't working, practically speaking. Sometimes gurus have to be very strong, and we've already heard from the Hare Bhakti Vilas why one should not argue to one's spiritual master. Sometimes we need a wake-up call. Sometimes there's just no easy way or polite way to throw a hand grenade. So, in the form of singularly unpleasant speech, sometimes the Acharya, the spiritual master, has to cut the anarthas of the disciples. So, but the grand disciple, the grand spiritual master, he's always more kind. So we have some chance. At least I hope we do. I always feel guilty speaking about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur because he was so formidable and so strict and so absolutely pure in every way. Who am I to say something about this? But anyway, these are just a few words we can say in glorification of His Divine Grace. Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Nitya Lila Pravishta Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, on the basis of these 4 verses. Now, these verses, who wrote these verses? Or any of the verses in our Mangalacharana directed at the members of our Parampara. They were written by Ananta Vasudeva, his disciple. And that's another history we don't need to discuss, but he appreciated them, he accepted them, and since I think it was in 1924, on this very day, 100 years ago, 1 century ago to this day, he wrote these verses to glorify his spiritual master in the same way that we're doing today. And since that day, they were instituted as a regular part of the morning program in the Gaudiya Mutt. And of course, Srila Prabhupada accepted these verses, and he taught them to us, in addition to the verses to Gaura Kishore Das Babaji, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji as well. So, anyway, these are a few things we can think about these. Does anyone have any comments or any questions? Please, especially among senior devotees here, kindly. say a few words.
You know, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, you're expressing rigidness of, you know, unless the guru invites you to take prasad, you don't take prasad, and you don't see anything as your property, anything as the property of the spiritual master. You know, you have to be surrendered to that length. Generally, if you're lifting a heavy weight, you have to work to be able to do that kind of, you know, exercise. So it seems like maybe a little bit conservative and not up with the modern time in the age that we're living in, for people to be so rigid and so much expected to follow such a heavy discipline.
Okay, valid question. As you said, everything is a matter of practice. If we practice sincerely, then, you know, it's not a problem. I mean, does anybody here get tempted when they pass a KFC? I don't think so, because we're above that now. But there was a day when maybe, for some of you at least, see, it's all a matter of practice. And here's the principle. Swe adhikare yanishta sa guna parikirtataha. If a person does what he's actually capable of doing, that is considered to be a guna. To attempt more than you can do, actually, or to settle with less than you're qualified to do, that's a flaw. So it's just a matter of practice. Hote. We gradually become purified by our practice of Krishna consciousness, and lo and behold, the same thing that used to trouble us many years before, it's not a problem at all anymore. There's a famous commentary on the Brajpasha work called Bhaktimal by Priyadasji, Hari Bhakti Subodhini, what is it? I can't. Bhakti Rasa Bodhini, his commentary. There he describes very nicely the effect of good association. Good association. That means associating with somebody who is like enough to you that you can relate to him, but deeper than you in his faith, so that you can get some benefit. And also affectionate to you. All these three things have to be there. This is satsanga. So the effect of that satsanga is that we have a small tree, and it's just a sapling, and we have to put a fence around that sapling, because everybody knows, what will a goat not eat? The sapling will be gone if you're not careful. So you put a fence around it and you water it. That fence and that watering is respectively the association of devotees and the hearing and chanting process. And if you do that carefully, then that tree will grow and it will expand and it will become so huge, massive, it will give shade to all creatures who come beneath it. And you can even take a war elephant and tie that elephant to the banyan tree, and that elephant is not going anywhere. The same tree that you were afraid of a little baby goat. See? This is the power of satsanga. So practice.
One may live in a temple, may not live in a temple, and have the association of his guru, may not have the association of his guru. So at that point, does he become in charge of his own decisions, or does he have to submit himself somewhere?
Yeah. Very dangerous. We are never independent. Never independent. Always we depend. Srila Prabhupada said, I always feel the presence of my spiritual master. Even, how many years? 40 years after the disappearance of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati. Some of us are experiencing separation from Srila Prabhupada beyond that. But Srila Prabhupada never ever said he felt an absence of his spiritual master or that he wasn't properly guided, because the instructions stand. He lives forever and the follower lives with him. This is the principle. Is that okay?
Okay, as long as I have permission to take prasad, that's all.
Yeah. Okay, so time is up, and the temple president has given us the hint. Okay, one more question. I have permission. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. You spoke something about that we don't have any humility, like this great personality.
Well, certainly we don't have enough.
Yeah. So what is humility?
Yeah. Humility means we have to become humble before the spiritual master, and it means really just this, that whatever the spiritual master says, we accept it, we embrace it, we follow it, we apply it, and we preach it. That's humility. What more can we do, really? Everything we get in Krishna Bhakti is only coming from these two things. Left lotus foot, right lotus foot. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Satma. You're not going to find bhakti residing anywhere else. So humility means humility before the spiritual master. Sometimes people think that humility means to be very meek and docile and a pushover and maybe low self-esteem and introverted and all these things. Not necessarily so. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is perhaps the best example of how that's so. So he can be very bold. I was actually in Kolkata one day in the old days when we had internet cafes and I was trying to send some email. And Bengalis can be often very small, especially the ladies. So one young lady walks in, and in a very commanding voice, she's holding a bucket. In a very commanding voice, she's just declaring that I'm from Gaudiya Math. We're collecting donations for this temple in your neighborhood. You should give donation. Itna sahas. So I was impressed that, this is real humility. Or as Vallabhacharya said that, he tried to argue to Lord Chaitanya that a chaste wife never calls her husband by name, right? So, but you people are calling Krishna's name all day long. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would immediately put him in his place. He said, the first business of a chaste wife is to follow the orders of her husband. And he's telling you to chant his name all day long, you do that. No questions. Is that okay? Yeah, that's my answer. There's many ways to answer this question, but that's what I'm going to say today. All right, time is up. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.